The Wyandotte County Election Office sent out nearly 3,000 mail-in ballots ahead of Tuesday's primary, but there was a problem. The return envelope carries 2 addresses, including a P.O. box, which the Postal Service no longer delivers to. Election Commissioner Michael Abbott says the post office has corrected its process and ballots are now being routed properly. But with more than 1,500 ballots still outstanding, the Kansas Democratic Party's voter protection director says the error raises legal concerns.
I don't know that anyone besides the voter would know that it was returned to sender at this point. I think from an election protection, election security issue, there's chain of custody questions at that point, which under our laws, someone could challenge somebody's ballot and say it didn't follow the proper chain of custody.
One of the Democratic candidates for U.S. Senate says he's heard of about 10 people affected by this so far.